right, what's going on, guys? I saw somebody share this video out, and it is the most brain dead thing I think I've ever seen. And the amount of people buying into this clickbait garbage that is literally a video hit piece on NZXT is absolutely insane. And before anybody, you're just an NZXT fanboy. I'm absolutely not. I've actually only have their AIO because it's the only one that works, and I don't feel like dealing with rigid tubing. Everything else is from every other company because I only buy what works and what's easy to deal with. But there are a lot of claims in this video that are absolutely unhinged, and they make clear assumptions and try to discredit this company and make it sound like they're running illegal loan schemes, which they themselves say didn't happen. But considering how many people in their comment section are absolutely brain dead, they don't seem to understand it. So maybe I can explain it in not a clickbait way that maybe somebody will understand that this is nothing but a hit piece on a clickbait video to get views, which is what it's doing. So props to Gamers Nexus for at least getting the clickbait views. So I'm going to start dissecting this because I've already got everything sectioned out here. So this is what I'm talking about, where the section is actually titled Bait and Switch. Here is the screenshots where they show if you buy this, you get this. If you rent a PC, this is your rental. That's not a bait and switch. That's literally telling you what you're getting for renting. Like, how's that bait and switch? Bait and switch would be them saying, hey, we're going to sell you a 4090 GPU and then sending you a 2080. That's a bait and switch, saying, hey, if you pay this $39.50, you get this device. But if you rent, you get this device. That's not a bait and switch. Again, hit piece. This is just a hit piece to try and make NZXT look bad. And again, I'm not a fanboy of NZXT. I only have their AIO because that's the one that worked that I didn't have issues with. Dude, my keyboard and my mouse are Corsair. I've got a 4080 Super myself. It's fucking phenomenal. It's an Oros, not NZXT. I've got G-Skill Trident RAM, not NZXT. I've got an Oros motherboard. Hell, four of my fans are Corsair. My case is Corsair because it's a monster and I actually liked it. And I like the space because I like switching things out because I build my own PCs. I like having the room to mix and match and swap stuff out. But again, not bait and switch if they tell you what you're getting. And then the rest of this is they go on to say, well, they changed what they're renting. Yeah, no shit, they can do that. They build PCs. They're going to have different spare parts that they can throw in a PC as an air quotes rental. Things that people aren't buying. Those change from day to day. This seems like somebody who doesn't understand the basics, the absolute basics of running a store. To have these components, you have to have space. To have space, you have to have a warehouse. To have a warehouse costs money. Well, if you have stuff that's taking up space and not making money, and you can throw it in a PC and rent it to somebody who doesn't want to go on some payment plan to own a PC when rather just rent, it sounds like you're trying to interfere in their business. Literally, you're trying to screw over their business because they adopted another business scheme, which, I mean, good for NZXT. I think anybody who rents is absolutely moronic and deserves what they get. But if you're going to rent a PC, you're renting a PC. It's not something you're keeping long term, right? It's like a car rental. The car rental prices are insane. You don't get to keep the car. They get to tell you what you do with the car, but you're going after NZXT for this. Doesn't make sense at all to me whatsoever. And another part of this video that I thought was absolutely hilarious is the major privacy concerns. The major privacy concerns about sharing people's data that you collect when they purchase. Hold on a second here. What's this? Store.gamersnexus.net/privacy? When you purchase something from our store as part of buying and selling process, we collect the personal information which you give us, such as your name and email address. When you browse our store, we also automatically receive your computer's IP address in order to provide us with information that helps us learn about your browser and operating system. We may send you emails. Consent. Disclosure. Squarespace. Squarespace. Squarespace collects their own data. We use them. Third-party services. In general, third-party providers used by us will only collect and use and disclose your information to the extent necessary to allow them to perform the services they provide us. Okay, what information is that? Wait, hold on. Here they go. However, certain third-party service providers, such as payment gateways and other payment processors, have their own policies in respect to the information we are required to provide. So you've got multiple layers of privacy policies from you and everybody you work with, and you're complaining about NZXT's privacy policy. You literally have your own privacy policy. Google Analytics. Our store uses Google Analytics to help us learn about stores and visit the page being viewed. We all know how much data Google essentially steals, but here you go. All that data being sent to Google. Cookies, HXN, change privacy, blah. So you have the exact same stuff on Gamers Nexus that you're complaining about NZXT is doing. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. But that's not the only thing here. If we scroll over to this section right here, it's titled Lawyer Death Waiver. Ooh, the big scary death waiver. They sell electronics that you're renting. They don't want to get sued because something happened with a PC that may or may not have been the result of you doing something. You know who else has death waivers? You know who else has death waivers? I'll give you guys just a quick second here. Universal Studios has a death waiver. Now it's weird because you call it a death waiver because it's limited liability waiver. Essentially, if you get hurt by the PC, you can't sue them. Same way, if you get hurt at Universal doing something, you can't sue them. And look, we can go through all these different sections of Universal's liability waiver here. So I'm not going to go through this entire section of Universal's terms of service for you going to their part, where if you die, they're like, no. I mean, hell, I made a video about Disney who actually killed a woman and said, no, you signed the waiver. You signed the waiver. Disney did it. Sure, they got a little bit of backlash, and I'm sure they paid the family a little bit. I don't know. You know, I need to check up on that because it was supposed to go to court. I'm going to check up on that. I think everybody forgot. Maybe it's time for a little bit of a refresher. But this is not something exclusive to NZXT. You know, we can go, I could find this one easy. Enterprise car rental terms and conditions actually has the air quotes scary death waiver in it. You know, I know exactly why they titled death waiver. It's so that they can get people to say, oh no, they're trying to kill people. No, that's not what happens. Every company, you go, trampoline parks. Trampoline parks have a death and liability waiver. You go play paintball that millions of people have done. There's a death and liability waiver. Airsoft has it. Little plastic babies. They all have this stuff. It's nothing spectacular. Again, this is all just targeted at NZXT because if I had to make a guess, an absolute guess and an assumption of what happened is that they wanted more money because their channel's big and NZXT said no. That's what my speculation is. I have no way to prove it. I don't know if it's actually true. I'm actually just guessing at what's going on because they even said, well, they were paying us $20,000, but we decided to cancel the contract with them and then write this hit piece on them. Now, unless they have something proving otherwise, I think that's the case. Again, that's my speculation here. And look, there are some very valid criticisms I can have, but it's not just of NZXT with their PCs being overpriced. Every single PC company on the face of the planet who sells pre-made, pre-built PCs has an insane markup. And it's not just PCs. It is anything you buy. For example, you know, let's go check out Reddit Center because that's a place that actually sells electronic. And I think all the people who would argue, well, that's an amusement park and that's a car rental company. Let's look at something that sells TVs, or I should say rents out TVs, washers and dryers and couches. Here we've got Rent-A-Center, the Whirlpool 7.0 cubic feet top load electric dryer and auto drying system. Boy, for $20.99 a week, with the total payments being $1,800 and $1,800 for just the dryer here, just the fucking dryer, $1,800. You know what it is to apply for a credit card with Lowe's, or you can even skip the credit card. You can just buy it at Lowe's. $500. More than three times to buy this. But you chose to go after NZXT. This is all I'm saying, is that there is something going on between you and NZXT, you at Gamers Nexus, where you're pissed off and you're attacking them because you're not going after Home Depot, you're not going after Lowe's, you're not going after Rent-A-Center, you're not going after Enterprise Car Rentals, you're not going after Universal and Disney. You have very specifically chosen NZXT. Because if you were going to actually go after all the PC game manufacturers, Meta PCs is a huge one. They have a lot of people advertising, a lot of people buying. And I just picked this off their randomly off their website here. $1,200. Granted, this is over Black Friday and Cyber Monday. It's down to $900. Wow, $900 for a PC. That sounds fantastic. You know what you can buy this PC for? Do you? Anybody have a guess here? You can buy it for $875. All the pieces. And as you can see, there's only like $40 off on Newegg for different parts. Again, if this wasn't okay, so it's still $100 more on a Black Friday. No, $100 more than Black Friday, but $300 more on any other day of the week. $300 more. We're already paying retail prices, and here's all the parts. Are you telling me that your labor is worth $400 for the hour or so it took to build this PC? Now, look, I'm being very disingenuous there. They're not just charging for the labor. I have worked at a retail corporation, not like some stock level boy. Like, the only people above me were the CEO, the COO, and the CFO. The people I directly talked to every day and worked with. Yes, I've seen it all. I know that you have to pay for storage fees, but you got to pay for the warehouse, because anytime you're using that space and it's not moving product, it's costing you money. I completely get that. And I assume that's what's rolled into here, but I think I'm also being disingenuous with that, right? Because if you're actually a company, you have a number that you have registered so you can buy things at wholesale price. If you're buying things at wholesale price, you should actually be getting these 20 to 50% cheaper, which means you're turning an $800 profit on a PC that's already overpriced from somebody who's paying full retail prices. Now, again, I'm not shitting on Meta PC here. I get this is the standard way that companies do things. I completely get it. Every single PC building company does it. They're not the exception. I'm using them as an example because they're pretty popular. But Gaming Nexus didn't go after Meta PCs. They aren't going after Meta PCs. They're going after NZXT specifically. Are you catching a pattern here? Every time I bring up other companies that do the exact same thing, how Gamers Nexus isn't talking about them, but they're talking about NZXT like they're some sort of supervillain hiding in the background and they're the only ones doing this? I mean, that indicates to me, when you don't have a problem with any other company doing this, that there is something going on between you and NZXT, and you've got a bone to pick with them, and you're doing it through your channel, or you're doing it for clickbait likes. Because again, you tried to say they were making scam loans when they're not. You're just getting people who want to rent a PC for a little while. But again, that's why that section's titled Scam Loans, isn't it? Now, I will admit, I've never watched Gamers Nexus in my life. This is the first time I've seen their channel. 2.3 million, and I'm not going to subscribe. I'm not going to watch their channels because this is how they operate. I want no part of this. I don't want to support it in any way. And that's why I made this video, because I'm not going to support Gamers Nexus when they complain about a company doing things, turn around and do it themselves. Not when they specifically target a company for what they claim as being a scam, but ignore every single company on the face of the planet that does the exact same thing. Am I saying all these things are right for companies to do? Absolutely not. Am I saying it's disingenuous and I suspect there is something going on between NZXT and Gamers Nexus that hasn't been made public and they're just salty about it? That's what I absolutely believe. That's what I keep going back to. Every other company that does the same thing, you're completely ignoring. You've got your head in the sand. You don't want to hear anything about it, but it's just NZXT. Go after Corsair. But why aren't you going after Corsair? Go look at their comment sections and their reviews and how much people have trouble and gotten, duped out of money by Corsair. But that's kind of on the back burner for you, isn't it? If it's even on a burner. You're not talking about that, are you? No, because this is nothing but a hit piece on NZXT because you're pissed about something. I don't know what it is. I can speculate all day. I can make all sorts of assumptions. But if I had to guess, it's probably about money because that's the first thing you talked about in the video. And sure, yes, I do see that you made videos about Corsair and it looks like you're complaining about the price on their computers. But you didn't write a hit piece on Corsair. Why didn't they get a hit piece? Oh, right. They didn't do something to you. Oh, right. They must have. They probably gave you something, or they're not talking trash about you, or they gave you money, or there wasn't a disagreement there. Because it looks like you can rationally talk about other companies and say, hey, look, here's the problems with them. But again, NZXT doesn't get the same street treatment after you had admit that you had a $20,000 deal with them. Something happened, you're salty, so you wrote a hit piece. But that's it for this video. Somebody shared this. I thought it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I expect to get tons of hate comments in the comment section. You know what? I don't care. I'm not some retard who's going to be like, oh, these weirdos on the internet said other company bad. Let's not take a look at what they're mad about. Let's just believe them. That's not me, homie. It's not me. But, I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts in the comments section. While you're there, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this one out. And until the next one, guys, be easy like sleazy.